On the 22nd of May 2019, only a couple months after the release of a new battle royale called Apex Legends, an esports organization by the name of SoaR would recruit a man by the name of Kobi to be their talent manager.
It's so crazy to me, and I cannot thank you guys enough for showing the support that you do, because without you guys and without one certain person, none of this would be possible. So the team I joined is SoaR Gaming. If you guys want to check anything of theirs out in the description.
The reason why Kobi was selected for this role over anyone else was because of his high status within the Apex community. Kobi simply knew the right people and the right places to look in order to find upcoming content creators that were being overlooked because of the size of their brand.
It doesn't matter your size. You could have 5 viewers, you could have 100, you could have 1,000. It doesn't matter how big your channel is or how small your channel is. We are still gonna look at you the same we look at everybody else.
And just after a couple weeks, 3 content creators would be given the opportunity to represent SoaR Gaming. The first person being Daltoosh, a fairly small streamer that was known for being the #1 lifeline in the world and debatably the best console player at that time. And the next recruit was BackOffMyJankz, a former Call of Duty and Overwatch YouTuber with over 200k subscribers who was known for his highly entertaining gameplay videos that would also teach you how to become better at the game.
It all comes down to practice. You can take these tips that I gave you in this video, practice with it, learn, play the game, have fun.
And lastly, Finicky, another small content creator that proved to Kobi and SoaR that he had what it took to represent their organization.
I wanted to say thank you so much, because as you probably read on the title, I have now joined SoaR, so I am now SoaR Finicky. How much like literal no sleep that I had playing this game so that I could be in a position to where I am now. Like, I'm very thankful for it, and I'm glad that I made that commitment to do what I'm doing.
Comments under the announcement tweet such as "Holy F, these are literally monster pickups," "These dudes and SoaR Kobi, no one can compete, RIP to everyone," and "This is lit" displayed the amount of hype SoaR had built up after making these recruits. But on the other hand, it also displayed the high expectations held for what seemed to be one of the most promising organizations in the Apex Legends community at that time. If you were to bet on SoaR succeeding, their roster of promising recruits, the financial backing the organization offered, and the already popular name SoaR Gaming had built up after being around for almost a decade, their future on Apex Legends might have seemed like one of fulfillment and promise. However, the reality for SoaR Apex has been a completely different outcome, one that very few could have predicted. If we jump back to before Kobi joined SoaR, SoaR had already recruited a professional roster to compete in tournaments, and the only way one could describe that roster would be by labeling them as a catastrophic failure, because if you take a look at SoaR's tournament placements back in early 2019, they would place low enough to earn $0 in pretty much every event they competed in. And to make it worse, a majority of their earnings from 2019 until today was from one single tournament back in 2019, where they earned $6,600 after only placing 15th in the preseason invitational. But we are still left with one question to answer: what the hell happened? How could SoaR go from being one of the most promising organizations in the Apex community to being just another B-tier org? Well, the simplest way to answer this question would be to jump all the way back into the early days of Apex Legends so that we could get a better understanding on just who we are really talking about. To solve the mystery behind SoaR's failure, we first need to jump all the way back to when SoaR was really getting their foot into the Apex Legends scene. This is when we were introduced to the man, the myth, the legend, Sad Boy Kobi. At the time, Kobi was a content creator that mainly focused on showcasing his skills by posting high kill Apex matches to his YouTube channel.
33 kills? What's up, Revex? Something slight, bro. Something slight. 30 squad kills first game on. That's crazy. 37-78. Not bad. Not bad, man. 21 kills, finally.
Before that, he was a Call of Duty trick shotter that took part in many recruitment challenges, one of them being a recruitment challenge for SoaR Gaming. Unfortunately for him, his SoaR dreams were cut short as he did not get recruited. But fast forward to a couple months after the release of a new battle royale called Apex Legends, Kobi states that SoaR Revex, one of the OG members of SoaR and also one of his idols from his COD days, contacted him and had asked him if he wanted to join SoaR.
So in the beginning, I got picked up May 22nd on my birthday in 2019 when Revex, a sniper in Call of Duty, one of my idols who I looked up to back in the Call of Duty days. If you look at my channel, I went for recruitment challenges for SoaR and multiple orgs back in the day in 2015 and 16. So when I had this opportunity to join, I took it.
At this point, Kobi couldn't have been in a better position. After years upon years of getting rejected, he had finally worked his way into his dream org. But to say that Kobi would have this feeling of success for long would be a lie, since not even after a single day of being recruited, he would run into problems. You see, usually whenever an individual would represent an organization, they would have a clear reason as to why they were recruited. Some people would join as a content creator, some would join as staff, and others would join as a professional player. But in Kobi's case, it wasn't clear to the public as to what his role in SoaR really was. So when Kobi uploaded his introduction to SoaR called The Best Apex Legends Console Player, he was bound to receive backlash for making such a claim. Instead of congratulating Kobi on his 33 kill game that he had posted for his SoaR Gaming introduction, the comment section looked for ways to make his 33 kill game seem less impressive. There were claims that his teammates were helping him farm as much kills as possible.
I'll get another one light for you, or low, and I'll let you know.
No, you're good. You don't have to do that, bro.
His teammates would stay nearby in case he was about to die.
If you need me to start shooting.
I'm gonna need help, Dad.
And he would let his enemies respawn multiple times throughout the match, a less impressive way of dropping high kill games.
Yeah, it was the one right over here. I see him running right here. Just don't show yourself, but he's right here. Just stay hidden, stay hidden. Don't let him see you. Otherwise, if he sees us, he might be too scared to respawn. Just let him respawn, and then let him get back fully. Let them both land. Let me get all the kills as well.
It may seem like this wasn't that big of a deal since it was just one single match out of the many high kill games that Kobi had posted to his YouTube channel, but you see, due to this video being on the SoaR Gaming YouTube channel and the video garnering over 1 million views, the SoaR Gaming community that once had no idea who Kobi was now saw him as an egotistical, average-skilled Apex YouTuber that did not deserve to be in the SoaR Gaming organization. And when it was later revealed that Kobi was SoaR Gaming's talent manager, he would once again receive hate on a level he never experienced before. At this point, there was no way we could have known what was going on in the mind of Kobi. Maybe he wanted to prove that he was legit and that he did in fact earn that 33 kill game, or that he did not deserve all the hate he was receiving at that time. But the one thing we did know was that Kobi was not going to let all the hate stop him from achieving the one thing he was hired to do in the first place: build SoaR Gaming into one of the most stacked orgs in the Apex Legends scene. For his first recruits, he would sign 3 content creators: Daltoosh, BackOffMyJankz, and Finicky. And just a month after that, he would sign 2 more content creators, Jonny and Kujo the God. At this point, each member of SoaR Apex had a unique aspect that set them apart from other members of the organization. Some had humor, others had a unique way they played the game, and others were simply entertaining. Every member of SoaR Apex was known for one of those things, so the fact that they would all be representing the same organization had helped them build a level of hype the Apex Legends community had never seen before. But as time went by, people started to notice a trend in every single recruit Kobi had made up to that point. They were all console players. See, if we look back to around the time Kobi had joined SoaR Gaming, he was given the task of finding upcoming talent in the Apex community, since SoaR Gaming did not want to invest in large content creators. But since all of his experience on Apex Legends was within the console community, his eye for seeing upcoming talent was quite biased. But that necessarily wasn't a bad thing. The console platform had the largest player base, which meant that it would be harder to stand out from the crowd. But if someone did stand out from the crowd, that meant they offered something that the others did not offer, and those were the people that Kobi went after. But once again, there was a problem. If you knew anything about the console community back in 2019, you would know that it was pretty much a who you know type of community. The ones at the top were all a part of the same friend group, meaning the same people would be playing together in ranked, you would see the same people in the most popular live streams, and the exact same people at the top of the leaderboard at the end of each season. And if you were to look at the roster Kobi had built for SoaR Gaming, he had recruited a friend group from a specific community in the Apex Legends console scene. Now, to the average person that knows very little about creating the perfect esports roster, this could seem like a good thing. Since they were all friends, they could feed off of each other's motivation in order to help grow their own brands, a strategy that had been working for them prior to joining SoaR Gaming. But on the other hand, combining business and friendship together in esports is a common mistake that many organizations in the esports world fall victim to, because when the energy they are feeding each other goes from motivation and inspiration to laziness and demotivation, the organization is going to fail every single time. And behind all the hype and success the SoaR Gaming Apex roster was seeing at that time, little by little, they were slowly being affected by this small mistake, and none of them had a clue as to what was happening the entire time. If you didn't notice earlier, the vision that Kobi and SoaR had for their Apex Legends roster was not in the competitive scene, but rather in content creation. Every recruit they had made was a content creator, and at the time of their recruitment, there really wasn't much of anything going on in the Apex Legends scene for a content creator to take part in. In fact, Apex Legends as a whole was declining in player count and viewership at that time, so it meant that if they wanted to stay relevant and grow their brands, they had to offer something that the other content creators did not offer, a challenge that many content creators in the Apex Legends scene would fail at. But interestingly, in the roster that Kobi had built for SoaR Gaming, there were two key individuals that were outperforming everyone in terms of success: Daltoosh and BackOffMyJankz. When they had joined SoaR, they were noticeably putting in more effort to grow their brands than anyone else. Daltoosh had well over 200 hours streamed and over 1,000 average viewers on Twitch in the month of August 2019, and BackOffMyJankz was easily averaging over 600,000 weekly views over on YouTube around that same time. And as time went by, their brands kept growing and growing without showing any signs of stopping, and this was simply due to the fact that they had unique content in a community filled with people that were doing the exact same thing. Daltoosh had a mixture between humor and skill on a level the Apex community had never seen before, while BackOffMyJankz mastered the art of edutainment, a mixture between education and entertainment. But while Daltoosh and BackOffMyJankz were suffering from success, you couldn't say the same for the entire SoaR roster. In fact, as their brands were rapidly growing, some of the SoaR members were seeing little to no growth, or no growth at all. During the year 2020, SoaR Apex would make 4 new recruits. In March of 2020, Draynilla and Calamity would be recruited. Then in May of 2020, Chicken 9man and Spooky would be recruited to SoaR Apex as well. At this point, if you were to believe that SoaR Apex was well on their way to achieving their goal on becoming the most stacked org in the Apex Legends scene, you would be partially right. You see, the roster that Kobi and SoaR had built was filled with some of the most promising creators the Apex community had to offer. But while some of the SoaR Apex members were putting in effort to grow their brands, other members of SoaR Apex were doing the exact opposite. And the best way to describe this would be by looking into 2 of the current SoaR members, SoaR Jonny and SoaR Kujo the God. The reason why both Kujo the God and Jonny were relevant in the Apex community was because of their high level of skill back in the early days of the game. In Kujo the God God's case, dropping a 34 bomb and 25 kills in a single match was nothing out of the ordinary. This had helped him build a level of notoriety in the Apex Legends console community, which would then help him build a network with some of the largest creators on console at that time. Creators like Daltoosh, Kobi, and Jankz. And due to Kujo the God's very close friendship with the top creators in the console scene, he would appear in their live streams when playing Apex with them. And this is when the friendship strategy we talked about earlier started to come into play. Since Kujo the God was a really small streamer, having the ability to play with creators such as Daltoosh, Kobi, and BackOffMyJankz at a time when their brands were growing at an extremely fast rate had allowed him to capitalize off of their success as well. He became somewhat of a side character in their communities. He was that sweaty tryhard that would perform really well throughout matches, but also had a likable personality, so that caused viewers from the streamers he played with to come over and watch his streams, which then caused him to grow at a noticeably faster rate. And since it seemed like he was on track to becoming the next big thing, he would be offered a position in SoaR Gaming as a content creator by his friend Kobi, who just happened to be the talent manager for SoaR Gaming's Apex Legends roster. But just as Kujo the God was at the pinnacle of his gaming career, he would disappear. See, unlike the content creators and pros he was playing with that gave up everything to make content creation their career path, Kujo the God was not willing to make that same commitment as well. In a tweet longer he made after disappearing for 6 months, he claimed that he saw streaming as a hobby, not an actual career path, even after being signed to SoaR Gaming's Apex Legends roster. And this is one of the consequences of mixing friendship with business. You see, the reason why he was even able to get signed into SoaR was for 2 reasons. One, it seemed like he was a content creator with the potential to become one of the biggest names on Apex, and 2, his network with the largest creators in the community, which mainly consisted of future SoaR members, had helped him grow his brand to a level where he was being offered life-changing opportunities when he was simply not ready for it. And when it was time to choose on whether or not he would commit to content creation, he chose not to. Now, if we look into Jonny, who was another member of SoaR Apex, he had a similar reason as to why his popularity declined as well. He had come from that same PlayStation friend group and had a very similar growth story as Kujo the God. But in SoaR Jonny's case, he was at a level where he solidified his spot in the Apex community as a highly skilled player, and due to that, he was able to grow his brands to somewhat of a level where he could be considered a full-time content creator. But similar to Kujo the God, once he reached the peak of his gaming career while representing SoaR Gaming, he disappeared as well, and it all stems back to the same problem, the friendship strategy they used to get to this point. If you look at the difference between SoaR Apex's top content creators, which were Daltoosh and BackOffMyJankz, and compare them to the likes of Jonny and Kujo the God, you would notice that both Jonny and Kujo the God looked at content creation as a hobby rather than a career, whereas Daltoosh and BackOffMyJankz were full-time content creators. The mistake that Kobi made early on was the fact that he chose to recruit somewhat of a tight-knit friend group, something that other talent managers rarely do. Now, both Jonny and Kujo the God were really good players that grinded countless hours to grow their brands, but if you really look at what jump-started their gaming careers, it was the network they were a part of. For Jonny to regularly play and be very close friends with a streamer that was going viral for having the most kills on Apex Legends, while Jonny only averaged about 100 viewers, that had to give him somewhat of a boost in recognition compared to other streamers that had to grind from the ground up all on their own. And the same can be said about Kujo the God. On paper, it seemed like they were solid recruits for SoaR Gaming's Apex roster. SoaR was looking for upcoming talent, and Jonny and Kujo the God checked all the boxes for what an upcoming talent looked like. But in reality, behind their gaming personas, they were simply not committed to content creation. And the main reason why they were even able to reach a level where they were being offered a position in SoaR Gaming was because of their valuable network. But to look at the bigger picture, the real reason why SoaR Apex was even seen as the most promising organization in the Apex community was because of their big three, Kobi, Daltoosh, and and Jankz. These guys were some of the biggest names in the Apex console community at that time, and as long as they were in the same organization, the hype would be there as well. But just as you might have expected, that wouldn't last for long. If we jump back to April 15th of 2020, SoaR Apex would announce that they were hosting a recruitment challenge. But what made this interesting was the fact that they added a little twist to how the recruitment challenge would work. In order to get rid of the bias they could possibly have when recruiting people, they would let the community choose on who would get recruited through a voting process.
So pretty much the details for this are, it is going to be a challenge where the community can also respond and has their voice to be heard to pick up these certain people. There's going to be a submission form where you are going to put your content, whether it be your YouTube videos or Twitch highlights or your Twitch stream or anything like that, and the community is actually going to get a chance to vote on this or that person's content and help them get those votes up to make it up until the next round.
To the people who created this recruitment challenge, this seemed like the perfect idea. If the community voted on who should be recruited, then that could potentially get rid of the bias they have when recruiting people. But to literally everyone else, this was by far the worst way to host a recruitment challenge. You see, SoaR was forgetting one thing. If the community voted on who would get recruited, that meant that the creators with the largest fan base would obviously be the ones that would have the highest amount of votes, pretty much meaning that the smaller creators had absolutely no chance of being recruited. Fast forward to April 29th of 2020, SoaR announced the top 10 content creators that would be advancing into the next round of the recruitment challenge, and as expected, everyone on this list was a fairly decent sized content creator. In fact, to solidify the fact that the voting process was a bad decision for a recruitment challenge, people started pointing out the fact that their friends that had been putting in lots of effort to join SoaR Gaming had their spot taken away from them by people who were inactive because they simply had a larger community that would vote for them. And as you probably expected, this caused many people to send hate to the SoaR Apex staff because they felt as if they had wasted their time and they should have at least made it onto the next round of the recruitment challenge. Now, since this was the first ever official recruitment challenge Kobi had hosted, it seemed like he was not mentally prepared to receive that much hate all at once. So after a couple hours of the top 10 being announced, Kobi would claim that he would never host another recruitment challenge ever again. And to make it worse, he would later step down from his talent manager position in SoaR Gaming. So once Kobi dropped down from his talent manager position, he went back to focusing on content creation, and for almost half a year, it seemed like SoaR Apex was still doing pretty good. Other than a few content creators who were slowing down in growth, SoaR Apex as a whole was still one of the most hyped organizations in the Apex community. But that wasn't until January 7th of 2021 when Kobi would announce that he was leaving SoaR Apex for no apparent reason. You see, even though Kobi wasn't the biggest name in SoaR Apex near the end of his time in that org, he was still the face of SoaR Apex. Unlike pretty much every other gaming organization, Kobi as a talent manager for SoaR Gaming was known for being different. He seen potential in creators when they were small and gave them an opportunity to change their life, the exact opposite of what most talent managers were doing at that time. After Kobi left SoaR in January of 2021, a domino effect started to occur. First, BackOffMyJankz would leave without making an official announcement, then Daltoosh would leave, then Calamity would leave, then Jonny would leave, then Finicky would leave as well, and in the end, only Draynilla, IllSpooky, and Chicken9Man would stay in SoaR Gaming. You see, as I stated earlier, the reason why SoaR was so hyped was because it was home to some of the most entertaining and skilled content creators the Apex community had to offer. But just like any other industry, once you reach a certain level, you just need to move on. And that's what happened to the SoaR Apex roster. At the time, the demise of SoaR Apex was unexpected since it all happened really fast. But looking back at it today, sadly, it was pretty obvious that SoaR Apex's demise was inevitable. And even though most of us would have wanted them to last longer, in the grand scheme of things, it was a decision they would have had to make one day or another.